beloved chosen one. You did not survive this season by accident. You passed through fire, silence, delay, and hidden sorrow because God was watching how you would carry your heart when nobody clapped for you, when nobody defended you, and when nobody understood what He was building inside you. The test was never only about whether you could endure pain. It was about whether you would remain faithful when the reward was not visible, whether you would stay pure when compromise looked easier, and whether you would keep walking when heaven seemed quiet. That is why this moment matters. You are not standing at the end of a random struggle. You are standing at the edge of confirmation. You have cried in private, but you did not let bitterness become your identity. You were rejected, but you did not surrender your soul to revenge. You were overlooked, but you did not bow to the need for human approval. That is what many people never see. They see your strength now, but they do not know the nights when you had to choose trust over fear one breath at a time. They do not know how many times you could have quit, how many times you could have hardened your spirit, how many times you could have said, "Enough is enough." Yet God saw every hidden victory. Heaven recorded every act of obedience that cost you something. The reason your spirit has felt the shift is because the testing season is no longer defining you. It is now revealing you. What once looked like delay is becoming evidence that God was separating you from what could not go where He is taking you. What looked like abandonment was actually divine observation. The Lord was measuring your endurance, your humility, your restraint, and your willingness to obey without full explanation. You were being weighed in secret, and by His mercy, you did not break. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 27, verse 14. Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. That word is not small. It is your receipt from heaven. You waited, and in your waiting, you were being strengthened. You held your place when the enemy wanted you impulsive. You stayed under God's hand when your emotions wanted to run ahead. You passed the test because you kept your spirit aligned even when your circumstances were not. Now hear this clearly: God is with you now in a way you are about to recognize more deeply. His presence did not arrive today, but today your eyes begin to discern what your soul has been carrying all along. Like this message. Share it with someone walking through their own test. Subscribe for the next word and comment 27 if you know God kept you through what should have broken you. Now you begin to recognize the signs that prove this season was never wasted. They are quiet signs, but they are weighty. One of the clearest is that you no longer chase what drains your spirit. You have learned to step back from noise, from confusion, from people who only value your presence when they can control it. That change did not come from pride. It came from refinement. God used pressure to teach you what belongs in your life and what must remain outside the gate. Another sign is the way your discernment now rises before danger fully reveals itself. You sense misalignment sooner. You feel the difference between manipulation and genuine love more quickly. What used to take months to understand now becomes clear in a moment. That is not imagination. That is what happens when heaven trains your inner ear through trial. You are not paranoid. You are prepared. You are not closed off. You are awake, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the book of Proverbs in chapter 3, verse 5, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That word explains why your path has felt unusual. You were never meant to build your life only by visible logic. God was teaching you to move by holy trust, even when your natural mind could not map the road ahead. That is why some doors closed without warning. That is why some invitations felt wrong even when they looked attractive. That is why your spirit resisted places that others called opportunity. The Lord was not depriving you. He was directing you. There is another sign you passed the test. You still carry softness without weakness. After all the disappointment, your heart still responds to what is pure. After all the betrayal, you still recognize truth. After all the warfare, you have not become numb. You are stronger now, but your strength is cleaner. It is not borrowed from anger. It is built from surrender. That is a mark of God's hand on your life. You are also beginning to notice that separation was not loss in the way you first imagined. Some distance was mercy. Some endings were protection. Some silence was God clearing the room so you could hear Him again. What looked empty was actually sacred space. And as this message reaches more people who are searching for confirmation, your support helps keep that assignment moving forward. If this word has genuinely strengthened you, and you feel led to stand behind this work in a deeper way, a donation becomes a quiet act of partnership in helping this message continue reaching the hearts it was sent to find. Something has shifted in the battle around you, and you can feel it even before you can fully explain it. The season of merely surviving is giving way to a season of spiritual authority. You are not the same person who entered the valley. Back then, you were learning how to endure. Now you are learning how to stand. Back then, you were praying just to make it through the night. Now God is teaching your spirit how to carry weight, how to hold peace under pressure, and how to move without fear when opposition rises. This is what many people do not understand about a true test from God. When you pass it, the reward is not only relief, the reward is transformation. Your voice changes, your posture changes, your discernment changes. Even your silence changes. The enemy once counted on your exhaustion, your confusion, and your emotional reaction. But that access is breaking. You are no longer fighting from panic. You are fighting from position. That is a dangerous change for darkness, because a chosen life that has been tested and purified becomes very difficult to intimidate. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 57. But thanks be to God, He gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. That is not a distant promise. It is the atmosphere forming around you now. Victory does not always arrive with noise. Sometimes it arrives as steadiness. Sometimes it arrives as clarity. Sometimes it arrives as the refusal to bow to what once controlled your emotions. God is proving that His presence with you is not symbolic, it is active. He is not just comforting you after the battle. He is establishing you in the middle of it. So when resistance rises now, do not read it as failure. Read it as evidence that your position is changing. Hell does not panic over what is passive. Darkness reacts when a child of God begins to recognize who they are. The warfare became intense because your authority began to wake up. The pressure increased because your spiritual footing became stronger. What once pushed you backward is now training you to advance. This is the moment to answer with faith, not retreat. Right. He holds me below as a declaration that even in conflict, you are not abandoned. And let that simple confession become your reminder that the God who brought you through testing is the same God now teaching your hands to war and your heart to remain still in His presence. What comes next for you is not unlocked by striving harder, speaking louder, or proving yourself to people who never had the authority to confirm your calling. It is unlocked by obedience. This is the part many overlook because obedience often looks small before it looks powerful. It may be a step back from distraction. It may be a conversation God tells you not to entertain. It may be a door you must leave closed no matter how attractive it appears. It may be a simple instruction that does not impress anyone around you. But heaven never measures obedience by how visible it is. Heaven measures it by whether your heart moves when God speaks. That is why this stretch of your journey feels so weighty. You are not only being comforted after the test, you are being positioned for assignment. The reason the pressure has increased around your decisions is because your next step carries consequence. The enemy would love to push you into haste, emotion, or self-will, because one move outside of divine timing can create unnecessary sorrow. But the Spirit is warning you with mercy. Stay close, move clean. Do not let impatience dress itself up as faith. Do not let desperation pretend to be urgency. There is a difference between bold obedience and flesh-driven reaction. And God is training you to know that difference with precision. The prophet Samuel declared in the first book of Samuel, chapter 15, verse 22, "To obey is better than sacrifice." That word cuts through the noise. God is not asking you for dramatic displays while your inner life resists His voice. He is not looking for performance. He is looking for surrender that listens. Your next assignment will not be sustained by talent alone, and it will not be protected by good intentions alone. It must be rooted in obedience. That is why the Lord has been slowing certain things down around you. He is not denying you. He is aligning you. He is teaching you that a delayed step in His will is safer than a rushed step outside it. You may already feel the tension of this in your spirit. One path is familiar but empty. Another path feels narrower but full of peace. One option feeds the image. The other feeds the calling. One satisfies the moment. The other serves the future God has written over your life. This is where many people stumble, because they want the promise without the discipline of listening. But you are being called higher now, not louder, not more dramatic, just truer, more yielded, more exact. So guard your yes, guard your pace, guard the quiet place where God corrects you before the world ever sees the outcome. The next chapter will not open through force, it will open through alignment. And what God entrusts to an obedient heart, no darkness can overturn. Now you understand that walking with God daily is not a vague feeling. It is a life of steady awareness, sharpened obedience, and quiet confidence that heaven is not distant from you. The same God who watched you in the hidden test is the God who now walks beside you in the open field. You are not abandoned to figure out your future by yourself. You are led. You are covered. You are corrected when necessary, strengthened when weary, and protected in ways you do not always see immediately. This is what changes everything. The test is over, but the closeness remains. There was a time when you begged for signs because your heart was tired and your path felt uncertain. But now the Lord is teaching you something deeper than constant reassurance. He is teaching you daily fellowship. He is teaching you how to live from His presence instead of from panic. That means you do not need to fear every closed door. You do not need to tremble at every delay. You do not need to question your worth every time someone fails to recognize what God placed on your life. When God is with you, rejection cannot cancel you. Delay cannot erase you. Warfare cannot define you. As Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 27, "My sheep listen to my voice, I know them, and they follow me." That is the crown secured over your life now. Not a crown of pride, but a crown of belonging. You know His voice more clearly because you stayed near Him in pain. You follow Him more faithfully because you learn that His direction is safer than your own understanding. The world may still misunderstand you, but heaven recognizes you completely. That is enough. More than enough. The mark on your life does not come from public applause. It comes from divine relationship. So keep walking, keep listening. Keep choosing the narrow path when the wide road looks easier. Keep guarding your peace. Keep your heart clean. Keep your spirit soft before God and strong before opposition. The Lord did not carry you through the fire to leave you wandering afterward. He brought you through so you could walk with Him in maturity, in authority, and in holy peace. If this message confirms what God has been doing in your life, comment 411 below as your sign that you know the Lord has been with you through every unseen battle, and that you are ready to keep walking with Him into what comes next. And as this word settles into your spirit, let it become like a lantern lowered into a valley at dusk, quietly helping another soul find the path home. If it awakened something living inside you, let that response be beautiful and unforced. A like is like placing oil in the lamp, a small gesture that keeps the flame visible. A share is like sending that lantern across the hill to someone still walking through their night. A comment is like carving your testimony into stone beside the river, a witness that heaven met you here. To subscribe is to remain near the garden where your spirit has been watered, choosing not to wander from what has nourished you. And to donate, if your heart is moved, is like laying a handful of seed into fertile ground, so more unseen hearts can one day rest beneath this same tree of comfort, fire, and remembrance.